Hello everyone, it's Christina from Our Wood Home. I thought I would give you my August garden tour today. These are several tomato plants all crammed into 2 large pots. They're actually cuttings that I cut off from bigger plants and then rooted in water. And once they had the roots, I put them in a pot with soil, and as you can see, they've done really well. They've got tomatoes on them. I've already picked some ripe ones. They're not as tall as my other plants, but they're still producing fruit, so that's pretty cool. Moving around to this side, this is where I had all my radishes, and I did do another sowing, but what's growing here is pretty tiny, so I'm not sure what happened. The other radishes, I decided to leave them so they could flower and then go to seed. So those are the flowers. Here are the seed pods. I've heard that you can eat the seed pods like this and they apparently taste good. I didn't try it. My husband did and he said it was not bad. But I'm saving the seed pods for seeds. I'd like to work on seed saving everything instead of just mainly my tomatoes. I don't want to have to keep buying seeds from the store. So I'm working on saving more things, learning how to do it properly. I did look up when to harvest these for the mature seeds, and the pods have to be dried out, and right now they're still pretty green. Moving on, we've got tomatoes in this planter. Let me try to get a different angle so you can see them. I know it looks like they're dead, but they're still very much alive. A lot of the lower branches are getting shrivelly, but I think that's maybe because we've had such cold nights lately. Not frost, but very cold for August, and I haven't been covering my plants. Maybe I should, but I haven't. We're still getting lots of fruit on each plant. Every day or so, it's about 3 pounds or more of fruit. So I'm pretty happy about that. The plants are definitely way too big for the cages. I didn't expect them to get that big. So I'm probably going to have to get all new cages next year because they're pretty much warping every cage. There's more tomatoes on this side. And then onto this side, this is the popping corn. I haven't harvested any yet. It looks like there's some small cobs, and then mainly on the other side, but there's another one. Oh, here's a good one. Over here, I did have some celery, but it hasn't really been doing much of anything. I grew it just by rooting the bases of grocery store celery. This is a tomato plant that is way too big for its cage. I'm just letting it do its thing. On this side, I had some peas. I've already picked them. This is the pile of the vines on the ground. I prefer to let the peas dry on the pod or on the vine. It's just easier for me that way because I've got so much going on through the summer. I don't have the time, or I don't make the time to pick them fresh every day. So I let them dry on the vine, and then when the plants are dead and everything's been harvested, I'll rip it out. And because the peas grow pretty quickly, I did plant some more where these stakes are. So I'm hoping we get enough warm weather between now and frost to get a good harvest. But there is still a plant that's green and seems to be growing, so that's why I left it. Here you can see the cucamelon plant that's been very prolific. It's been growing through the cage or through the fencing all over. It's over there too. Next year, if I grow it, I'm going to grow it in a pot just because it does seem to take up a lot of space, and I've got other vining plants here that kind of get more priority, I think. All right, over here, we've got some very tall pepper plants. This one was taller, and I accidentally broke off the top of it when I was trying to harvest a pepper. But we've got some nice peppers there. This one I think maybe just has one pepper. Yeah, one pepper right here, but it's got lots of flowers. These fuzzy things are eggplant. We've got some ripening in there. I've already picked one. That was pretty interesting. Oh, I think I have 3 eggplant plants. Here are some pepper plants that I got in the early summer from a new friend. I bought them from her and they're doing pretty well. Behind the eggplant, this vining plant is lemon cucumber. That's what it looks like. It's kind of like a rounded cucumber that is yellow in flesh or in skin, and it tastes different than a regular cucumber. This is the cucamelon and corn here. I really need to weed in here, but it is what it is. A lot of beets were growing here, and I've already picked most of them. The beets that were remaining were still pretty small. Lettuce here, it has bolted, as you can see, but I did that on purpose so that it would get some seeds on it. Around here are some tomatoes. These were what's called volunteer tomatoes, so they fell, or they grew from tomatoes that had fallen into the garden last year, and I just transplanted them here. Over here is my herb garden. I've got lemon balm and spearmint here. The spearmint is looking like it's going to seed, so I'm pretty happy about that because I've tried to grow both of these plants before. I think I tried to grow them from seed and it didn't really do much. And with these, I just bought them as little plants from the nursery. And I've tried to do that before, but they don't come back the next year. I don't know if they're supposed to, but I'm glad to see the spearmint has gone to seed so I can save those. I've got some echinacea here that I transplanted from a little further down in the garden because it was getting kind of crowded there. My oregano plant, I've tried to contain it, it just will not be contained. But it has these really pretty pink flowers and the pollinators love them. I've actually been harvesting a lot of the oregano to freeze dry for us, but also I just put the fresh clumps of it in the chicken coop because it can help repel flies and it just smells nice. Here's the big echinacea clump that I had to break up and move down a bit. This section is kind of just a hot mess. So I've got some sunflowers here. Some of them I planted from seed here. Others grew from seed elsewhere and I transplanted them. As you can kind of see with this one, it's leaning towards the sun, which is kind of cool, but I'm afraid it might snap. So I wonder if I should maybe put a stake behind it here to kind of hold it more upright. Across here, I have various things. There's some parsley there that looks like it's going to be ready for harvesting. Chives are growing there. There's a few tomato plants in here and some yarrow here that I dug up actually from my driveway. I know it looks pretty rough right now, but I'm going to wait for it to be established, and next year it should be looking pretty good. And then some chamomile down here. Let's go into my preserving garden. This area is still like a jungle. I've been picking tomatoes every day from here, and I cleared off the plants last night of all ripe tomatoes, but as you can see, there are still lots of ripe tomatoes. I did have some dill growing across here that just reseeded from last year, but I pulled that out because it kept getting in my way and I wasn't going to be using any dill this year, so I pulled it out and put it in the chicken coop. And as you can see, the tomato plants are literally a jungle. When I try to take the picture for this video thumbnail, I'll try to show you just how big the tomato plants are. They're massive. It's literally a jungle. When I harvest them, I can reach everything, but I often have to crawl in. There's some little tunnels here so that I can get things deeper in. It's ridiculous, and it's my own fault that they are so dense, but I'm just making the best of it. I haven't had too much hornworm damage. We see them every so often, and I just noticed damage to this area, but I don't see a hornworm. Honestly, I'm not spending as much time worrying about that this year because they're just such dense plants. I won't be able to do a thorough sweep for hornworms. I'm also seeing this branch now that's been picked clean by hornworms, but at this point they can just have some of the plants, to be honest, because there's just it's impossible to find them all. I am finding lots of interesting spider webs. I don't know if this one's showing up. It's not, but I've got 2 orb web spiders in my garden, so that's fun. Before I get further in, I'll show you the corn. That's been doing very well. I picked a few cobs a little while ago and they weren't quite ready, but I still used them. I think they're gonna be ready soon though. My goal is 120 cobs. I don't know if I'll get that many, but I'll just be happy with any quantity. I think in my last update video, I said that there was a squash plant growing here. It's actually a mini white pumpkin, and it was growing there, but I decided to send it up along my fence by my composters. I really didn't think it would get this big, but here it is. So these are little mini white pumpkins. That's as big as they're gonna get. And they're decorative, but apparently you can eat them. All right, getting in here. Lots of tomatoes need to be picked. I did have carrots growing in here. They got completely overshadowed by the tomato plants that can't be supported by just small metal or small wood posts. But I'm hopeful I can still maybe get some carrots in the fall when the tomato plants have died back. There was beets growing here. I've picked all of those. I just have some marigolds here because they're pretty and supposed to be a pest repellent. Over here is the potato area. As you can see, we've already dug out all those potatoes. There were a lot that had pretty bad damage to them. Like most of the potato was eaten by something. So I decided to just put those back in the ground and we'll see if we get them sprouting and get a harvest from those potatoes this year. I'm not sure. If not, they'll just come back next year. Over here is my bean trellis thing. It's got lots of beans on it. Of course, now that I'm trying to find them, I can't find them, but lots of beans here. I'm not sure if I will can all of these or dehydrate or freeze dry. I haven't decided yet. I guess it'll just depend on what else I've got going on at that time. Thank you so much for watching my garden update video. I hope that you enjoyed seeing how things are looking in August. I will link my garden playlist at the end of this video so you can check out everything I've posted about my gardens for this year and in past years as well. Again, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.